Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Something Something podcast. My name is Eric Kastoff, and with me, as always, is Larry Sands. How's it going, Larry?
It's always sunny in filmmaking land.
Ugh,
And it's hot. So, hey, welcome
oh,
welcome to the
God.
summertime, everybody. This could be the first unofficial episode of summer.
It is 95 here in Jersey today, and my air conditioner hasn't been off since last night.
Right. And actually, this brings up the weather. And I think this we can talk about the weather with our guest today coming up. But you remember when we shot Hillsborough Road? That was in April.
And it was freezing, man.
It
I
was
didn't think
really
it got
cold.
cold in Texas.
It does. It snows every once in a couple years. So and little snow, not Jersey or New York snow,
Yeah.
but it was cold and it was windy and most of all of our stuff was night shoots, right?
And all 95% of that movie was outdoors.
And we had everybody in shorts. And it was uh,
Remember the
you were
fights
horrible,
over
Eric.
the blankets, taking the blankets away? I think Kelsey hissed at you.
Yeah, everybody was cold. Everybody was cold. So yes, I do. Yes, I do. But isn't that part of the filmmaking experience though, as a filmmaker?
For indie, yeah.
No, man, for any because when you think about it, even if you have money and any kind of a budget, you still have to deal with the elements and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
schedules and things, right?
yeah.
So, you know, but how is everything going with you, buddy? How's the writing going?
Everything's going well. Still sending slasher movie out to different agencies.
Yeah.
Working on a brand new script. I'm doing the outline as we speak, actually. So
Nice,
very
nice.
happy with that. That's always fun because what people don't get when you're writing a movie, it lets you watch a lot of movies in that genre, but you're taking notes and over analyzing, which is always fun.
Right. It's easy to do, right?
Oh, completely easy. The
So yeah.
easiest thing in the world is writing a script, Larry.
Well, no, no,
Easiest
no, to
thing on the planet.
overanalyze. No, that's the
Oh,
hardest
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
I wasn't being like the hardest
Oh,
thing to
I
do
thought you
to
were
me.
doing me, I thought you were giving me a good segue into a joke.
Oh, no, go ahead. I am. I was.
No, no, but yeah, I mean, I'll talk more about this script later, but Larry, I want to talk about Tubi.
Yeah.
Not our thing with Tubi yet. We're at the point now we legally can't say stuff yet.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
Larry, Tubi is such a wonderful gift of a streaming service because you either get on there and you find something you haven't thought about in years,
Mm-hmm.
or something you never heard of from like I mainly go for the nostalgic stuff on there, the
Mm-hmm.
early 2000s things. It's like, oh man, this I remember this. Oh wow, Melissa Joan Hart made a horror thriller. I gotta check this out. But
Right.
then every now and then, when you go through the new releases, something just pops out at you.
Let me ask you
And
this. Wait. Before you do, what pops out to you? Because I think this is highly important for us.
since again, I am a child of the video stores, so it used to be the DVD or VHS cover. Now I
Box
guess
top?
it's the thumbnail, but I'd
Right.
rather call it the poster than the thumbnail
Right.
because
Right.
that's
Right.
just such a lame thing, thumbnail. And while I was going through, I saw this movie called Super Happy Fun Clown. And my first thought is that is the most ridiculous name for a movie I've ever heard. I have to watch this. And Larry, I had such a great time with this movie. I have rules when it comes to indie movies. If
Okay.
the sound is bad, I completely take it off
Okay.
because that's the most important thing. But
That checked out. Yeah.
it hit all my check boxes within the opening minutes for
Right.
a good indie movie. The sound was perfect. It looked like they had a budget. You watched it
Yeah.
also. We talked about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It was
And
great.
then the story kept pulling me in. I was never bored watching it, is the
Right.
best thing I could say.
Yeah.
The lead
Yeah.
actress was awesome in the
She was
role, man.
horrible. She was a horrible, horrible person.
Well,
As
we
a
kind of.
wait, as a serial killer. Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
was I
Well, I
supposed to
think it's
say?
kind of in the title.
Spoiler alert.
No, no. So, and since, we have the show and I have a list of things, when I see a movie and I like it, I gotta find the filmmaker or one of the actresses and,
Yeah,
hit them up. And
yeah.
to my surprise, the dude was nice enough to respond. Yeah, there
Amazing.
was a time period trying to schedule him, but we've got him on now. Larry,
Yeah.
tell everybody more about our guest.
Man, Patrick Rea, welcome to this episode of the Something Something podcast. Oh my gosh. So when Eric told me to watch this movie on Tubi, I was like, okay, cool. Because he's always sending me stuff, and I sit down to watch them. And then he mentioned you were going to come on the show. And then I was even more stoked about watching it. Because number one, I'm like Eric. You look at the poster, right? The thumbnail, the box top, and that should tell you almost everything you may need to know, I think, in my humble opinion. But and I will be the second one on this podcast to say you did a great job, man. Very good.
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, you're muted.
We can't hear you, buddy.
Oh, and we'll cut this out, so no worries, no worries. Hmm. Mm-mm.
He's not muted on our end.
Uh-uh. We can't hear you. Um, I wonder if it's in your settings, I guess.
It's showing levels.
Okay, there we go. We hear
There we
you
go.
now.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Should I just start and then you guys can make
Uh,
the cut?
Give it a five
let's
second.
see. Let's see. Uh, I wonder if I could cut into it. Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just do like a.
Well, thank you guys for having me
Let me
on.
give you a 5 second for
Okay.
editing.
Okay.
And five, four.
I'm glad you guys liked the movie. It was a lot of hard work. I mean, we shot the whole thing in Kansas City, Missouri on a limited budget, and it's just one of those things where, indie filmmaking, there's always something that happens and you just don't things you don't expect. And I think we did the whole movie in about 14 days, which is
Wow.
Holy
ridiculously
cow.
tight. So,
Wow. Yeah.
and then we had some days where we did some pickups here and there just to kind of, make sure that we had everything. But most of all the cast actually is from Kansas City. Jennifer is from Kansas City. Nicole Hall, who plays the lead cop, is from Kansas City. The mom, Deborah Maddock, who plays the mom, who is the nicest person in the world.
She
Uh,
looks so mean.
she's the nicest person. And my daughter, actually, my own daughter, plays the young version of Jen at the beginning.
That's so
Oh,
awesome.
that's
Yes.
so cute. That's
Yes,
good.
yes, and
She's
it's funny
good.
because we shot this movie 2 years ago, and of course it takes that long to get the movie released, as you know. And now
Oh,
she's
trust me.
13, and she's on a cheerleading squad, and it's just like she doesn't even look like the same kid anymore. She's grown so much, but yeah, no, it was like any independent film, you're up against restrictions, and you wish you could have been able to do more, but I think we got a lot out of the budget that we had.
Yes, yes. How long has the movie been out?
So we ended up getting released strictly to Bloodstream, which is a streaming platform that I think the Horror Collective is in charge of right now.
Really?
And it's kind of gotten bigger since. I think they just picked up a Danielle Harris Scout Taylor Compton movie that is coming out.
Wow.
Oh,
And they
wow.
released it on January 1st, strictly to that platform, and then Tubi was April 1st. So, and then we're gonna get a
Perfect,
DVD and Blu-ray at
perfect
some point.
release date for this movie.
What's that?
perfect release
Yeah,
date for this movie.
April Fool's Day. We thought so too, and I actually didn't even realize it until that. I was like, wait a minute, this is actually a perfect.
Wow.
So, so the DVD and Blu-ray are still the release date is still pending. We recorded a commentary track, and we've got like this was all based on a short film originally. Eric Winkler, who's the writer of both the short film and the feature, he sent me the script for the short film. We had just done I Am Lisa, and he's like, I've got this short film, which is basically a silent film.
Mm,
And you follow the Geno the clown character around. And it's like about an 8 minute short, and it's actually on Bloodstream as well.
that's
It'll be on
cool.
the Blu-ray and the DVD as an extra.
Nice.
And that short film made the rounds at various film festivals. It played at like Panic Fest and some other film festivals around the country. And so then we were just like, let's expand it. And so Eric wrote a script expanding the short film into a feature. And it was funny because his script was only about 70 pages, which at the time I'm like, this might be too short. But it ended up being about an hour and a half long movie because there's so many scenes where there's no talking, everything's visual.
Hmm.
And so those scenes that look like a couple sentences on the script actually are much, much
Yeah.
longer. So I think it's the perfect length. I don't think it should be any longer, and I think that it holds people's attention. So
Very much.
Completely, yeah.
yeah.
And again, it looks like you had a bigger budget than you did. The locations, the way it was shot, the lighting. Again, it was just the. Again, I'm gonna keep saying that I was never bored. I never was
Yeah.
like, oh, do I don't want to finish this. No, I was sitting down till the end, man.
And the
Yeah.
thing is that's funny is that, one of the rules of independent filmmaking is to not have that many locations, but every time we make a movie, we're like, well, we have 10 locations or 12 locations, and it does make it feel like a much bigger movie if you
Yeah.
can pull that off.
Right.
So the
Right.
trick is finding locations that are close in proximity. So if you do have to do like a company move and move your crew halfway through the day to a different location, you're not taking up a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, and I spoke earlier about how I'm going to be making a film in a week that Eric
Yeah.
also wrote, and we're trying to figure that out now because the World Cup is coming to Kansas City. So, like, even a mile could take a half hour with the traffic
Yeah.
that's coming into town. So we're trying to kind of be smart about it, and but those are the things. I do a lot of my own scheduling, and it's just because I first AD as well, and so I kind of just I make my shot lists. I do all the planning. I know how long things take. And but when things get really complicated is when you add makeup effects into the equation
Mm.
because
Yeah.
those just make everything kind of slow down to a grinding halt. So
Yeah.
we were fortunate to get a couple local haunted houses in Kansas City to let us film inside.
Oh, nice.
So that's for the finale. We're inside some of those haunted houses, and we so that really upped the production value as well. So
Very much. As I watch, I don't know Eric or Patrick if you guys are like, as a filmmaker, obviously you watch like especially in particular a horror movie a different way.
yeah,
And so the minute, you started going through all these locations and then we wind up at the haunted house. I was like, wow, they've got like you said, for a horror movie, there was a lot. There's a lot of production,
right.
a lot of production value, obviously, but a lot of maybe production moves. And
Yeah.
what does that look like in a 14-day shoot? How many hours out of the day did you shoot? And
How
then how
many
many crew?
pages a
We
day?
only,
Right.
well, right. We only did 12-hour days. There was one day that we went 13 in the haunted house because it was the scene where she runs into kind of the Harley Quinn character. And
Right.
it was just
Okay.
taking a lot more time because, every little spot in the haunted house was on a different floor, which meant we had to move the
Oh,
gear on a freight
Oh,
elevator and go up and go
yeah.
jeez.
down.
Yeah.
So, those days took a little bit longer, but generally speaking, we kept it to 12 hours. My philosophy, I'm 46. I don't want to do past 12 hours. At that point, my body just turns off. So,
Yeah.
and I don't like putting crew, especially on an indie film where they're not getting their commercial rates
Yeah.
through, and because I think it's diminishing returns after a certain point.
Yeah.
You're not getting the best out of everybody. Um, but yeah, so one thing we did do is we shot a huge chunk of the movie in a row, but then when we ended up having to wait to do the haunted houses because we were filming in winter, and the haunted
Mm.
houses didn't have any central heating.
Ooh.
So we decided to wait on those scenes because we wanted to be in there. So we ended up shooting those in April of that year, just because I mean it would have been too cold, and we were doing makeup effects, and it would have affected the makeup. So our decision was to just hold off until April. But what was funny was we originally planned to film the exterior of one of those haunted houses, and last minute, our location fell through for the exterior. So Eric Winkler and I had to go drive around looking for another location 24 hours out from shooting that scene. So luckily we found a place and they were like, cool. And we said, we'll give you just a tiny little bit of money. Let us film here. And that was our last day of filming.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
and that was an overnight. And as you know, those are a lot of fun.
Oh God. Yeah, oh,
Exactly.
yeah, the most
Exactly.
fun in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you do especially the practical effects like you did, number one, I don't know. So obviously it just came out on Tubi. I think everybody should, after this episode, go watch Tubi. No, no, actually we may do some spoilers. I hate to bring it up, but we
Yeah.
have to because it was so good. Um,
Yeah.
your practical visual effects, which is your horror effects and the makeup is unbelievable. It's really good, especially the decaying body,
Yeah.
and
Oh
then
God,
the bullet
yes.
hole through the head, if I could. So
Yeah.
that was how do you? I kind of have an idea, but how do you plan during pre-production, and then how does that look like when you get on set? Because sometimes those are two different things, I
Yeah,
think.
no, Jeff Sisson did the makeup effects, and again, I wanted to do everything as practical as possible just because I don't like CGI. Sometimes it's inevitable. You have to do some
Hmm.
CGI. I think there's a couple of CGI shots in the movie. Obviously, the fire. I couldn't light that character on fire. In reality, we were inside of a haunted house that would have gone up like in smoke so quickly had we
You
done
don't
that.
want to do a Kane Hodder.
No, no, no. And so we just did a lighting gag there, and then had to do a post effect there. But like a lot of this stuff is, I walked Jeff through what I want, the shot composition, and so then, but some stuff is actually kind of, you got to be a little bit flexible because there's just stuff that you don't realize that might come up, but he had a good, he's done this for a long time. He's worked for Full Moon, and he's just done a lot of movies.
Really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
he's kind of I would say he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, and right now he's working around the clock for the next one that starts in a week, so which is a little trickier than this one in that regard. So we'll see. We're gonna have to, and some stuff, there's effect shots that you have to pick up later. I mean, you get on set and you realize I don't want to have the crew waiting around for an hour
Right,
for one
right.
shot that may not involve any of the actors. So let's just wait and get that as a pickup later. And so there's things like that that can happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, we avoided the crazy thing was that when we were in that haunted house, they were like, yeah, no blood. And we're like, what? And they're like, you can't have
Okay.
any because they didn't want to have any of the floors stained and all that
Right,
stuff.
right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we had to kind of, we had to think on our toes a little bit on that and do our best. And those are the kind of things that you have to deal with. You just never know,
Right,
and
right.
like it's me who gets run over in the movie, by the way. I don't
That's what I was
Oh,
wondering if you
wow.
ever did a
that was
cameo,
me
and I was
randomly
wondering if that
walking
was
down
you,
an
the homeless guy.
alleyway. Like I'm supposed to look like I'm just a homeless guy walking down the alley I was holding a waffle. So
Yeah.
I think I'm
Just
I'm
running with the
credited as
waffle.
credited as Waffle Man.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was we did that part kind of as a skeleton crew just because we had to do it in an alley. We were in the alley of a movie theater in Kansas City where they hold Panic Fest, the Screenland Armor, and so and they're very, very like helpful to independent films in Kansas City. And actually, part of the short film was shot there
Oh, wow.
the year before, so they were already kind of involved and stuff. So yeah, I think that Kansas City is a great place for filmmaking in that regard because there's a lot of people who are willing to help. I mean, obviously, it's getting busier in Kansas City now because Missouri has tax credits.
I was
So it's
about
getting
to
a
get
little
into
hard. It's
that,
getting a
asking
little
what.
harder to get free locations. You still have
Right.
you have to pay for them, but it isn't like Los Angeles where everybody pulls out their lawnmower when you start filming outside and
Right.
to run around with $100 bills and give it to them, So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, I think this particular area is starting to get a little bit more activity because right now there's two features being shot in Branson, Missouri, around
Wow.
Branson. And so again, like a lot of them are Christmas movies and stuff like that. But
Oh,
the
Love
mortuary
those.
assistant, the mortuary assistant was just shot in Missouri,
I didn't know that. Wow, that
which
was
my friend Jeremiah Kipp
M-
directed.
wait, mortuary assistant. I think
Yeah,
is that
it's on
uh,
Shutter.
Eric? That was the one that John was in. John Adams?
I don't think so. No, this started as a video game
It was a
and then
video
Oh,
game.
became a
okay.
movie. It's
Because I, yeah,
Yeah, and
just a similarity.
Jeremiah and I have kind of been like, he and I have screened together for like 15, 20 years ago. We were screening together at different film festivals.
Wow.
We've been constantly each other's cheerleaders as we make our way up the mountain, so to speak,
yeah,
of doing
yeah,
this. So
yeah.
I'm happy that he and I are both still doing it at this
You know,
point. So
you mentioned something that I wanted to get into because it really seems like every state is stepping up now
yeah,
when it comes to filmmaking. Like here in Jersey,
yeah,
Lionsgate is about to open a studio, Paramount, Netflix,
yeah,
and it seems like, Missouri and Kansas City are
yeah.
right on the bubble of opening up to a lot more productions. What
Yeah,
is
we've
that
had
like?
it's great. I was an AD on a feature last year called Transcending, which was like a romantic comedy that I'm not sure it'll come out this year, maybe it'll be next year, but it has Heidi Gardner and a bunch of other people that you'd
Oh,
recognize
okay.
in it. And that was a 17-day shoot, which is still short, but a little bit. I was like, wow, 17 days. What is this like? But because I've done some of my features have been 12 days.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, and so yeah, no, there's just a lot. There's a movie that was called it hasn't been released yet, but it's called Boris is Dead that's coming out. There's just a lot more production in the Kansas City area. Right now, everything's kind of on hold because of the World Cup. So we were like, hey, let's shoot our movie right now, which
Let's get the World Cup audience.
yeah, right. So
Hey, you got time to rewrite, man. Make the World Cup part of the story,
Oh,
dude.
yeah,
yeah,
It's
there we
no,
go.
I don't think it wouldn't quite fit, but and actually our lead actress is flying in from New Jersey. She's playing the lead, so
Oh, cool.
um, but yeah, I mean, it's seems like it's gaining some momentum. A lot of people, it seems like Los Angeles right now has gotten really slow, and a lot of people I know that have been living out there are either
Moving.
changing careers or moving.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
across the board. It's been hard for everybody in the industry right now
Right.
because and I think AI's got a lot of people scared.
Yep.
Oh,
But I feel like, and as you can see this year, a lot of non-studio or smaller indie films seem to be doing well. I mean, last weekend we had Obsession do really,
which
really
was
well.
amazing.
I haven't seen it yet. Funny enough, it played
Mm.
at Panic Fest, where we screened a short at Panic Fest this year, and I didn't get around to seeing it. But then you got, was it Iron Lung was the other one,
Yeah, yeah, the
So
Markiplier
I
movie.
think it's a good time for people who are working outside of the system right now, if they can keep their production costs to a reasonable size. Like I think that right now, what's hard is that distributors aren't paying, and
Right.
so you have to be very, very careful spending investors' money.
Yeah.
And so our movies are I would say micro budget. I mean, it's enough to I think we do the most we can with that budget and we make it look really, really good. But and we don't have as much overhead as like a film, even Obsession at 750,000, that's a risk and it
Right.
paid off for them,
That's a
Oh,
big
yeah.
risk. Yeah. Yeah.
and you just have to kind of get the right distribution plan in place. But it is scary for people who are trying to make movies in the million to 5 million range because
Yeah.
it's hard to recoup.
Let me ask you this because our last episode was with a really good friend of ours, filmmaker here in Texas, and his entertainment lawyer. The lawyer was an executive producer as well, and she had some really good information to share for every filmmaker.
Right.
What's it like for you talking to a potential investor? What does that look like? Because this is probably a two-part question, is
Sure.
what does it look like to get
This
an
is a whole
investor,
podcast.
yeah, an investor on board, and then once they're on board, what are the expectations from that executive producer on you, the filmmaker, producer, director,
Well,
everything?
in the case of we made a movie called I Am Lisa, and we had several investors on that film, and we were really, really lucky that the movie did very well. We were able to make our money back plus some. So we have that as an example to show our investors. We did get the Redbox, and that now there's no Redbox. So that is
Yeah.
one thing where a chunk of the budget came back through having it in red at the Redbox kiosks.
Hmm.
But that's no longer an option. So
Right.
right now, Tubi and other streaming platforms are kind of the ones that we use as an example of this is how we get our money back.
Right.
And we offer them obviously their investment plus a percentage, and we have to be clear with them that it takes a little while to see the money. I mean, it's um, Super Happy Fun Clown because it's just now on Tubi. It's going to be at least a quarter before we see the results of that. So
Right.
we just explain to them to be patient. A lot of these guys, some of them reinvested from some of the I Am Lisa investors reinvested their money in the Super Happy Fun Clown. So they were like, oh, well, we made money, but let's just roll it back into the next one. So we were very, very lucky in that regard.
And
Uh,
that says a lot also about you as a filmmaker
yeah.
taking
And as a person,
responsibility.
your character is a
Oh
man.
yeah, yeah. And having them come back to you and go, "Hey, we did okay. We did pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do?"
And
And
I
I think
also, whenever I'm talking to investors, I have to be very clear with them. I'm like, look,
very
this is a risk that you're taking. It may end up, but I try to find people who are clearly not spending their life savings and putting it into a
right,
film. Because if
Yeah.
right,
anybody does, I'm like, don't do it.
right.
These are people who have other investments that they've made, and putting in 15 to $20,000. Well, a risk isn't like as big of a gamble as somebody who's like, here's my savings account, And I
Right.
tell people don't do that,
Yeah.
don't put money on your credit cards. And again, like if you're really good at crowdfunding, then go for it. I am not good at it. And it's
Yeah.
one of those things where it's almost more work to do the
It's
crowdfunding than it is
tough.
to make the movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
in my mind,
And
I'd
then you
rather go
got to
talk
think
to people.
about fulfilling everything people donated for.
Yes.
No one told
Yeah.
us about
Hmm.
that when we did our crowdfunding.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. So I prefer meeting with investors and luckily, like I said, I am Lisa did very, very well. And so we've been able to use that as kind of like, look, this is and honestly, it would have made its money back without Redbox. And so that's kind of I was like, let's take away the Redbox aspect of it, and it still would have made twice of what it cost.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
That's very good.
Yeah,
Very
and
good.
it's interesting. I like how you put this because it sounded more like you were doing a startup in Silicon Valley more than,
Right.
getting funding for a movie because you were being open and honest. Odds are this
I mean,
movie isn't going to make anything.
right, which
And
is
if
why
you can't, if you can't blow a couple $1,000s,
yeah.
don't do
Don't do it. Don't
this.
do it. Don't do it. Exactly. So I just tell people, look, I mean, you have to say, well, what you have to kind of look at what else they're doing, and see like, are they in a place where putting 15, $20,000 into a movie and you get five people like that, are they in a good, secure place to do that? Are they going to be, and obviously you have to keep a line of communication going with how things are going with each film, but you have to be honest, it takes a long, long time. We
Yeah.
were in a lucky position with I Am Lisa because releasing January of 2021, which was still during COVID, and Redbox was just like, we need something, we need movies, and so they took the film, and they paid almost immediately. So a lot of that
Oh,
was, yeah, it wasn't like we were waiting for 6 months. So yeah, I mean, again, we're honest with the time frame, and a lot of the times these people want to be involved with a movie. They just want to do something creative because maybe their day job is something that's not creative.
Right. Yeah.
And those are the kind of people you need to seek out.
Yes. Did they ever want to come to set,
Oh yeah, and
be part of the dead bodies or
we give
anything?
them cameos. We give
Ah.
them cameos. Actually,
awesome.
yeah, one of the investors was one of the monsters in Super Happy Fun Clown.
Okay, wait, let
Oh,
me guess. He was the Frankenstein one?
No, no.
Oh, okay, wait. He was the one he came up
the
and
Phantom,
he
Phantom of
was
the
eating the
Opera.
thing.
No, 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 no.
Ah, okay, who
It's
was it?
better we
It
don't
was
know.
it
It's
was the
better
werewolf.
we.
It was the
Oh, the
werewolf.
Oh,
werewolf. Oh,
okay.
But yeah, so and he's gonna have a cameo in the
that's
movie
awesome.
next week. I think we're shooting. Well, yeah, it's hard to believe it's gonna be a week from now. This is where I start losing sleep, by the way.
Right, right.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
it's end of the. I'm a parent. I have two daughters,
End of the
and
school year. Oh my
the
gosh.
reality of doing independent film in any place in the country and having a mortgage and having two kids is very
Everything.
challenging.
Yeah.
And you have to, I tell people, if unless you're, a grip or a gaffer or working as an AC and you're constantly jumping from one production to the next. Luckily, I'm an editor, so that helps. I'm able to
Yeah.
Okay.
do a lot of that stuff. But you got to find ways to stay alive to keep this going, and so you have
Yeah.
to be, it is what it is. You've got responsibilities that are more important
Right.
Yeah.
than making a movie. So
Yeah.
I've made more films as a parent than I had before I was a parent. So I'm like, it is possible. And now
That's
again, like I'm incorporating my oldest daughter into
I
the
was about
process
to
of
say
doing
that
the
that's
movie.
cool.
you've got a
My
built-in
wife is
actress.
my wife is in the movie, is in Super Happy Fun Clown. She plays the lady who's dressed up as the devil at the party.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
my wife. So it's like I try to keep everybody involved in the process and stuff. But yeah, it's hard, and I think that there's a glamour. There's people think it's very very glamorous, and it's very down and dirty and very it's not easy, and
Oh, yeah.
the rewards are fantastic. But and again, like you have to ask yourself why you're doing it. Are you doing it to make money and be rich and famous, or are you doing it because you want to tell a story and you want to be creative and you want to have that satisfaction that you went out and you made a feature film and it's out there for people to watch?
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, maybe that goes along with one of my next question is when you first started, has your view of your filmmaking journey changed, and how has it changed from the first time you wanted to do it to maybe even sitting here now? And what is that
So
journey like
much.
as a filmmaker?
So much. I mean, like, I grew I was born in 1980, so like all of my favorite movies are in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
So like I was like, I want to make a movie like Indiana Jones. I want to
Ooh.
make a movie like Star Wars. But then like I got into horror big time, and so I was like, this is stuff that I can do for a limited budget and potentially do very, very well. But yeah, when I went to film school, I was like, I want to be like Michael Bay. And then by the time I started making films, I'm like, I would rather not be like Michael Bay. And it's funny because it's like I write things now knowing I'm like, can I accomplish this?
That's the right
I'm
way
writing
to
this.
go about it, man.
Right, right. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write a script knowing that I don't write scripts for spec anymore. I'm like, I'm writing this knowing I'm gonna try to go out and make it.
Right.
And so I think that that's where things have changed. I'm just more like, and also my sense of humor. You take yourself very seriously early on.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm, you have that moment where you're like, okay, we're just making a movie. This isn't like brain surgery. We need to everybody just chill out, have a good time, get the job done. but there's no reason for us to be like, driving our mental health over the edge. So
Right.
I'm a lot more careful with that now because when I made Nailbiter was one of my first features, and I shot that movie, and that's also on Tubi,
What
and
is it
I'm
called
bound
again?
to Nailbiter.
Nail biter.
Nail biter.
And I'm bound and determined to make a sequel to that movie at some point. So that movie took 4 years to finish, and it ended up getting
Wow.
released through Lionsgate again in the Redbox because it was early on in the Redbox, 2013
Yeah.
roughly. And then it ended up on that channel Chiller, which I don't know if you guys
I
remember.
miss that channel
Me
Hmm.
too.
so.
It was on there
Remember
all the time.
Halloween when they would do the trick or treat marathon?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's sad it just kind of went away. So and then the movie went away for a while, and then it ended up on Tubi, and now it's had a resurgence. Tubi Horror Movies had a screening of it um, through their Discord a couple weeks ago, and I
Wow.
participated and answered questions and stuff like that. But that movie, I took myself to the edge with, and I was kind of like, well, and then my next movie was even more. I was touching the edge of sanity on that one, which was a movie called. Right now, it's called Arbor Demon on Tubi. It when we made the film, it was called Enclosure, and it stars Fiona Dourif, who's Brad Dourif's daughter,
Oh, okay.
um,
I knew the name
and
sounded
and
familiar.
Jake Busey and an actor named Kevin Ryan, and we shot that movie in South Carolina in 12 days, and it was just madness. It was the first time I made a movie outside of my normal Kansas City film crew. So I was kind of the
Wow.
odd man. I was the fish out of water, filming in Charleston, South Carolina. And it was good for me because I needed that. I needed to get out of my comfort zone big time. And I was way out of my comfort zone. Um, and that movie was, it was very challenging. And obviously, I didn't care for the title change, which was thrusted upon me. But there was
By
nothing
the
I could do about it.
distributor?
Yes, at the time, yes, because at the time, 2017, everything was alphabetized on VOD, and they
Oh
wanted an A
God,
title and
yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff.
Right.
Number
So,
one
Right.
cheerleader
right,
camp.
right, right,
That was an
exactly.
actual movie, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, right. I was like, are we going to put a hashtag in front of it so it's even
One of my
higher up?
biggest fears with Hillsborough Road was a distributor was going to go, what if we called it Amityville Road?
Yeah.
I really had, because if you're
Yeah.
not a horror nut like
Yeah.
me, there are, what do you say, Patrick? 5 million Amityville movies on
Amityville movies.
Tubi.
I wrote a short film years ago, and it's called Amityville Pitch Meeting, and it's about
Oh,
a
I love
Hollywood pitch
this.
meeting where they're pitching different Amityville movies. And the problem with the script is that now the ones that are out there are more ridiculous than the ones I was pitching in the short film.
Amityville
You have to
Backpack
go.
is an
I had
actual movie.
I had Amityville pot pie in the script, and maybe that's still like it was a pot pie that they had rescued from the house and it was possessed. And I was like, well, okay, maybe that is still pretty crazy, and I should still make that short film. But
You should. That's awesome.
anyway, so
That's cool.
yeah, so by the time I got to I Am Lisa, which we also shot, which I shot a lot of that movie, 15 minutes from my house, maybe 10 minutes from my house. Um, we had a blast on that movie, and everything was my perspective changed in the fact that I just had to kind of relax and not take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Because I think you can drive yourself crazy, and you have to take it serious to a point,
Yeah,
because
Hmm.
you want the movie to be good, you want to get the job done, but you got to be self-deprecating a little bit and take a step back and realize you're lucky that you get to make a movie. Um,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that, and I remember I had a film professor at the University of Kansas, Kevin Wilmot. He wrote Black Klansman and won the Academy Award for it.
Okay.
Wow.
He
Wow.
was my film professor at KU when I was there. I graduated in 2002, and one of his pieces of advice for me was to keep a good sense of humor about making movies. And I was like, okay. And I finally started following his advice, and it's gotten to the point where, I mean, I get stressed out no matter what,
Yeah.
but it has been a little bit easier on me mentally to just kind of have fun and just not take it as serious. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always look at it as right now, it took us 5 years to finish Hillsborough Road,
Wow.
our 80s slasher movie.
Mhm.
And when we were going through the distribution, I was like, man, I could be stressed out about anything else in the world, but right now I'm stressed out about finishing a movie.
Yeah.
Something that I came up with in my bedroom,
Yeah.
flew to Texas to shoot,
Yeah.
so finessed people into giving me money.
Yeah.
I would rather be complaining about that than, digging ditches,
Sure.
which will
Exactly.
probably be more financially stable,
I joke about that every now and then too. I'm like, well, exactly. It's we've picked a I went to Sundance in 2004 and I went to some panel and one of the filmmakers was up there and his movie was at Sundance and he literally said, I didn't realize that being a film director was actually a euphemism for being unemployed. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And now I'm like, oh, you're jumping from one lily pad to the next, and
Right.
it's like luckily, I tell people who are just now getting out of film school, learn different trades within the business.
Right.
everything,
Yeah.
editing,
Yeah.
learn editing,
Yeah.
but
Editing, if you want to be a sound operator, my God, you will be happy with you will
yeah.
consistently work if you're in an area where there's not that many to choose from,
Right. Right.
you know?
But it's like they said in The Godfather, this is the business we have chosen.
Yeah. Yeah.
With me,
Yeah.
I had two choices. Well, no, actually, I almost went into full-time ministry, but
Uh-huh.
decided to do horror movies. But again, it was either horror movies, ministry, or selling drugs.
Yeah.
Those are the three things I could possibly be
Yeah.
good at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
he could write about all of them.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, and again, like I tell people, you just got to be able to be flexible and find ways to make money, legal ways to make money, and learn different aspects of production. But if you want to be a director, you have to understand you're not going to be getting the phone calls to be a grip or a gaffer or a first AC or whatever. You're not going to probably get those calls. You're going to be focusing on trying to direct a movie, and which takes a lot of energy and time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So be
Word
focused.
to the wise listening to this is you really you do have to go through stuff. You
Yeah,
have to live through stuff in order to know what people are talking about
yeah,
because it's almost like, you take your kids that are coming out of film school and they're like, I just want to be a director. I just want to be this.
yeah,
And it's like you said, it's like, hey, that's great, but
yeah,
do you really want to actually meet people and do things? And you have to climb the ladder while you're doing your own thing. And then also while you're climbing the ladder, you can pick up your cell phone and shoot a movie, shoot a
yeah,
short,
yeah.
right?
Find a group of people to kind of grow
Ooh.
with, and enjoy
Hmm.
working with. I always say find people to one of the most important things of independent filmmaking is finding a group that you enjoy working with because it's like summer camp, and if you're not
yeah,
enjoying yourself with those people, it can be a long experience. So I do work with a lot of the same people because I just when I can afford them, of course.
Right.
And that's just one of those things where the DP that I'm shooting with this week or this next week I've worked with since 2006. So
Wow.
we've
wonderful,
been
man.
working together for a long time, and it helps that he and I understand each other and
Very
kind of
much.
have a mental we we're a psychic connection. He can kind of read my mind, and he calms me down, I calm him down, kind of thing. So it's
Nice.
that's a good position to be in. And yeah, so you treat people with respect. I always tell people you don't. As Kansas City is a small city, and if you don't treat people with respect, word gets out.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that's very, very important. And put out good work. I know there'll be some people who see Super Heavy Fun Clown and they'll be offended, and I'm kind of like, that's okay. It's not for everybody. And
And that's okay.
it is okay.
That's okay.
I again, like I was like, well, there's worse stuff in like one episode of White Lotus,
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna say if I could so humbly interrupt, I was watching it and I was like, I'm happily surprised that there is more risque stuff because you don't see that now.
Exactly. Yeah.
well,
I appreciate it.
the one we're shooting in a week has got some more risque stuff in it too, and I'm kind of like, we all were kind of like, let's not be prudes. Let's just go out and make this
Yeah,
movie.
man.
I think that's okay. I think that once Scary Movie 6 comes out,
I was
apparently,
about to talk about
I think
that. Yeah,
everybody's good. The pain threshold will be, everybody
Right.
will be willing to,
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
stuff like that again. But yeah, I think that there has been a little bit of watering down the comedy
Oh
and
yeah.
comedy
I'm a big
doesn't
South Park
exist
guy.
anymore at
Yeah.
all.
I'm a very big South Park guy, and so like for
Same.
me, they get away with everything, and it's like
Everything.
I appreciate that. But they
Yeah.
also are equal opportunity. They make fun of
Yeah.
everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
It,
and so I'm just kind of like we're making entertainment. You think Mel Brooks when he was
oh
making
my God.
Blazing Saddles,
Could
like
never get made
I
today.
no,
I'm
no.
interested in what Spaceballs, the second one, is gonna be like. Is he still gonna have
yeah,
that,
yeah,
I
bite
hope
to it? I
so.
hope.
I
yeah,
hope so. I hope
yeah, for
so.
sure. And so
Steve Rogers agrees, guys.
That's right. That's right. That's his little best friend.
But yeah, no, I mean, we're just gonna keep doing what we and I've got a couple other movies I'm working on right now. I've got like a horror movie that deals with pharmaceuticals, and it's almost all set in a conference room with a meeting that's between executives at a pharmaceutical company, and then it goes completely crazy.
Oh,
So I'm been working on that and kind of sending it to some actors that I'm friends with and that. But that's one of those movies where you're like, I can't do this for 100,000. Even if it's in one room, I'm gonna have to spend more money because the
yeah.
effects within that room are gonna be very complicated. So,
Well,
Is
I
it
I
gonna
can
be
tell
the
you.
level of that scene in Dogma?
oh yeah, I haven't seen that movie since it came out.
Oh,
It's
okay,
been
okay.
years, so but yeah, no, I mean it ends up being kind of like a Twilight Zone episode more than
Very
it takes
cool.
a turn
Yeah.
where and we've been working on the guy who co-wrote it with me also wrote WNUF Halloween Special, which I don't know if you guys are a fan of.
Oh,
It's on Shudder.
my
Uh
God, I love that movie. Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, so he actually has written the sequel to I Am Lisa as well. His name is Jimmy George. So, and that's a movie, I've got a couple sequel movies I want to make to I Am Lisa and Nailbiter and stuff like that, but it comes down to money.
Yeah.
And, it's just one of those things where I want to be able to up the ante a little bit and obviously not overspend, but I want to be able to do a better job, a bigger, better job with these. And so it just comes down to money. And these other projects keep coming. And so, um, Eric wrote Super Happy Fun Clown, and then he wrote this one that we're shooting next week. And so we're staying busy. And so at some point, though, I'm going to try to focus on at least doing a nail biter sequel. And when you watch it, you'll be like, oh, of course. Of
I'm
course,
Yes.
it's supposed to
watching
have a
it after
sequel.
we do this video.
Yes.
Well,
Absolutely.
before the Knicks
Absolutely.
games comes on, I'm gonna watch
Absolutely.
your movie.
And it's a lot different from Super Happy Fun Clown. Like I try to make each one of these movies a lot different
Cool.
from each other.
Cool.
I've got a found footage movie out there right now called The Night Is Young, which
Ooh,
is like a lesbian vampire found footage movie.
Where's that one
sold.
again?
It's on Tubi.
Okay.
It's on the Found streaming
Okay.
platform. It's
Wow.
on or Found TV or whatever.
Yeah.
It's on a bunch of stuff. So and we've been shooting a sequel to that, but we've been doing it in pieces. So we're about two-thirds of the way done with that. And it's fun shooting a found footage movie, but it's actually way harder than you think because you have to
Yeah,
rationalize what all the camera angles and you got to think
Right.
about why is this angle, is it a security camera? Is it like there you got to think about all that. You can't just you're like, oh, I could really use an insert shot, but I can't because that doesn't make any sense,
Right.
like
I've
those
Right.
kind
been
of things.
Right.
trying to figure out a found footage movie for, at least since I saw the original Paranormal Activity. I'll tell you the funny story about my connection to Blair Witch Project after the podcast, but I just can't figure out a reason to keep the camera running.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. And now they've kind of gotten to the point where the audience kind of accepts that a little bit more. But there is like every one of them, you're like, okay, well, I would have dropped the camera and just ran.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
and
Right.
then you have
Right.
no movie, so you almost have to
Right.
kind of figure out. And in the case of The Night Is Young, she's a vlogger, so she's filming a vlog, so there's a little
Okay.
bit
Yeah.
more to it,
Yeah.
but there is moments where you'll be like, why did they just drop the camera? But some of that you can't avoid. You just have to
Yeah.
kind of accept the world that you're in, and but anyway, so hopefully we'll get that sequel finished. We've got, like I said, about the final act of the movie we have to shoot, but I probably won't get to it till late summer. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Um,
Patrick, I'm sorry, like, I didn't mean to
go
cut
ahead.
you off. Go
Go
on.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
we've been talking about Super Happy Fun Clown the whole time, but we haven't talked about the story of the movie. Get it, kid. This is your chance to pitch to the audience what the movie's about so they can go check it out.
I always try to think of how would Eric Winkler pitch it. He pitched it a lot about how it's about a person who hasn't met the expectations of those, the people around her, like her mother, and she hasn't achieved what her mother wants her to achieve. But all she wants is to be famous, and so takes unusual methods to get to that point, and she finally snaps. Like, she's pushed around by her mother, she's pushed around by her husband, who's just barely there as a human.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she finally snaps and kind of devises this plan on Halloween to go on this killing spree. And for me, like, I at first didn't have any interest in making a clown movie because I feel like they've been done to death. But one of the things that interested me was that, first of all, it's a female clown, and it felt like it had more to it, like it had more meat to the story.
It was more a character study than
Hmm.
just a
Exactly,
typical
exactly. It's
clown
in the
movie.
Yeah.
slasher category right now on Tubi, but it is a slasher movie, but it's got like a little bit more psychology to it. And so I think that that's kind of what appealed to me about it, was the fact that, you're watching her arc. She starts off as a little kid with like dreams, hopes and dreams like everybody. And by the time she's an adult, she's kind of had those dreams squashed, and she finally snaps. And I think it gives people a little bit more insight into the mind of a killer than just having this killer running around killing people for no reason.
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud of it for that fact, because I feel like a lot of people have complimented it in the sense that they feel. There were some people, we premiered it in London at Fright Fest, and a lot of people came up to me and they're like, I can relate to that character. And I'm like, oh boy, okay.
Stay away from
Exactly.
But,
me.
but I mean,
Exactly.
Security.
that
Exactly.
there's some,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're able to relate to it a little bit. And
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting. I mean, she's still doing these horrible, horrible, horrible things, but you've at least created a character that has some emotional resonance rather than just a straight up killer with no, like.
Hmm.
And again, like, I mean, I see that a lot in horror movies, and so we wanted to do something a little different. And I think
Yeah.
that, again, like, I think it stands out for that reason. Hopefully people keep watching it and kind of, spreading the word about it. That's always kind of, you just never know, will it take off? Will it not take off? It seems like it's doing really well on Tubi. So hopefully that hook of having a little bit more to it story wise keeps people interested in going back to it.
If I could, it's almost like a character study in serial killer, how to become a serial killer
Yeah.
or why, right? And I kept watching, I'm like, so that's how they kind of get started, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was very interesting in that aspect because you let it breathe, you let it have legs, you let it
Well, right.
sit
We
for a
had
minute.
we had one person say that they go, well, really think you need to have a kill in the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, guys, when you do that, and yeah, okay, you might lose a percentage of your audience who doesn't see a kill in the first 10 minutes. But what you're really doing is you're taking the air out of the movie right off the bat. You got to build some character development. You got to have, before that first kill happens, there's got to be some connection to what's happening. It's, I always tell people, Poltergeist, Carol Ann doesn't disappear till like the 30-minute mark of that movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right,
And,
right.
to the point where then it actually has some meaning to it when it happens, and
Yeah.
so, and again, I'm not trying to compare the movie to Poltergeist. I'm just saying I'm using that as an
Yeah.
example of
Yeah.
a movie that takes its time, and that way the payoff feels more earned than,
Hmm.
Well,
a movie where
Hmm.
it's like, oh, we're going to have a kill in the first 10 minutes, and all of a sudden there's nowhere for the movie to go.
well,
Right.
no, I'm going to defend you even more. People forget that there's different subgenres within horror. Now, if you were doing a teen slasher movie,
Right.
and I was your investor and the first
Yes.
kill doesn't
Yes.
happen for 10 minutes, I'm throwing the script at you and saying, no, an opening kill has to happen within the first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
Patrick,
Yeah.
because that's the type of story you're
Right.
telling. But
A scream movie is different. That's
exactly. Or
kind of the
I know
way
what
those
you did
movies work.
last summer. The
Exactly.
screamsploitation movies, if you
Right.
would, are different. But with this, since it is a character study, it would be a fun double feature with Joker.
Yeah.
Watching these two movies back to back would be a
Yeah.
lot of
That'd be
fun.
good. Yeah.
Well, I think that I mean what I really wanted to kind of push into the foreground of this movie was the humor because I was trying to avoid it being so heavy and dark, and so we kind of kept adding some little humorous moments to the movie. I mean, the situation of her having serial killer stuff all over her walls is dark funny. Like you can't help it. You're like, am I laughing? Should I be laughing? I think I'm gonna laugh. But like other things in the movie that I was just like, I wanted to remind people this has got comedy to it. And so I think that that also sets it apart maybe from the typical slasher movie in that
Mm-hmm.
regard.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong, as an adult, she doesn't talk for a while in the
Yeah,
movie, right? Or
yeah.
did she talk as a child? I don't remember.
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I mean, but not a lot. There's not a lot of dialogue per se in that first opening 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
And maybe that's why we were told you need to have a kill in the first 10 minutes. But I mean, I like that it's mostly silent in places and stuff. So I think that's interesting. And actually, it was one of the things that attracted to me to do it. Was more telling a story visually versus exposition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What I find interesting is there's more and more people doing it themselves. We know the Addams family, they've done
Yeah,
almost every movie
they're very
on their
good friends
own.
of ours.
yeah,
Very, very few crew. Um, and that has always impressed me that they are making a name for themselves on
yeah,
their terms.
yeah,
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong or if I may, you are kind of on that same trajectory because I think as a filmmaker, you kind of want to build upon
yeah,
every film that you do
yeah,
and everything that you learn and you do it in a new way. You want to do something
yeah,
um, different and
yeah,
new. So I just wanted to compliment you on that because just talking to you, everything that you've done and been through is like, and it should be a learning curve, and it
yeah,
just makes you a
yeah.
smarter filmmaker.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, obviously, because I've been out shooting a found footage movie, which obviously I can do that with almost very little budget, and it's just people committing their time more than anything. Um, but it's still a lot of work in a different way. And so
Right.
I'm like, well, I'm trying this particular style of filmmaking that's different from because I was making The Night Is Young at the same time I was making Super Happy Fun Clown. So it was like two
Wow.
completely different styles of movie making.
Yeah.
One was a lot more guerrilla style, and it was only a handful of crew members, and we were just out making it. And then of course, Super Happy Fun Clown had a lot more crew. I wouldn't say a lot more. I mean, we basically had 20 crew members total.
Wow. That's a
Damn, dude, that's
lot.
a lot, man.
But
That's a lot.
We had
um,
three.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of more like what.
Including us too.
Yeah,
No.
no,
Yeah,
and it's possible, if you've got a
Yeah.
good story to tell, it's possible. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to keep doing films on my own terms, and I always tell people, look, I'm a realist. I understand that I'm going to go out and make movies, and there might be one that's better than the other. One may work better than the other, whatever. It might hit with people better. Um, but you just got to keep going. And it's like I don't try to put all my eggs in one basket and say,
Right.
well, if this movie doesn't work, I'm done. So and I don't want to again, like one of my idols is Wes Craven, and I kind of just look at his
same favorite director.
yeah, I look at his career and I'm like, the guy just kept working. Some of his movies didn't work. Some of his movies worked really well. Um, but he just kept working. And I kind of think
Hmm.
that's kind of the way I want to do things is
Yeah.
just keep working. And I have to. I've got a family to provide for and stuff.
Yeah.
And but you also have to keep in mind you got to take some time off rejuvenate yourself. And so I know that after we shoot this movie and wrap on the 14th of June, that I'll probably be like, all right, I need a couple weeks off just to kind of take a breather
Yeah.
think about some other things before jumping in. I do all my editing too, so I edited Super Happy Fun Clown. So
What do
I
you edit on?
Adobe Premiere. Though people keep trying to get me to switch to Resolve, but I'm just kind of married to Premiere at this point.
Same.
Um, but it's funny because it's like people at the wrap party or the last day of shooting, they're all hugging each other and they're like, "We're done," and I'm like, "I'm just getting started."
Right,
Exactly.
Because I had
right,
to follow it
right,
all the way through the distribution process, and
right.
so
Yeah.
and so for me, like the wrapping of the filming is just step number two of
Yeah.
much. You got pre-production, you got production, and then you got post, and then distribution. So
Only the
Y-
actors ever wrap a movie.
yeah,
The
Right.
filmmakers, they're connected to it till the release date. Well,
I,
no movie gets released, they escape, as Bruce Campbell
yeah,
says.
I will say this because starting the distribution process and actually just finishing filming and anybody that's done even a short film and lives with it on the production, the
yeah.
post-production side. It's quite surprising how because I know as an actor you just kind of do it and you go on to the next one, but I think it's kind of lost on actors
Mhm.
that there's a whole process that goes
Right,
on to
right,
putting it together. And
right.
I think and Patrick, maybe this is a good wind down after you come off of your shoot. We would love to have you back on
Oh,
and to talk
definitely, yeah.
strictly about distribution, about what that look, everything
Yeah.
that you can speak on,
Okay.
and meaning, where you don't want to,
Yeah, I do a
like give anything
seminar
away.
maybe once or twice a
Oh,
year in Kansas City on distribution. So I would love
oh,
to do that.
perfect.
And I'm like an
Wow.
open book. I'm like, I will tell
Yeah.
you everything I've experienced, good and bad, mostly bad. But anyway,
Good. Good.
yeah, I
Because
mean, like that's
yeah,
the thing is it's just one of those, you don't learn that in film school. You have to go through the process yourself
Yeah.
everything
and deal with all the
stuff.
stuff. Yeah. So
This-
again, like I would be happy to come back on
Okay.
and talk about it. So
Okay, we will definitely set that up. I know we have talked about a lot, and you've really given us an acting, filmmaking more 101 of what it looks like from the beginning of a career to actually talking to executive producers, using other people's money in a responsible way, and what that looks like with each and every film. So I thank you for that and taking the
Thank you. It's been
opportunity and
very
the time.
encouraging, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
very, very encouraging.
It's gotten me encouraged just talking about it because there are days where you're very
Awesome.
discouraged and you
Oh, tell
understand.
me about it.
So you just have to kind of I think sometimes talking about the process kind of gives you a boost of energy. So
It does. And but okay, I know we'll try to wrap up, but and it's like, I always talk to Eric when we talk, and I don't it's such a lonely process when you're sitting in front of your editing because yes, anybody can make a movie, anybody can go out and shoot a movie, but when you put it together, it's such a process where you do feel like you're alone
yeah,
sometimes. And when I said, Eric, when we were talking about when you're up in your head, because as especially, because right now I'm doing a trailer for a horror film and I'm up in my head and I'm like, I can't be there because if I'm up here, it's not coming out. And
Yeah.
there's a way that you just have to trust the process in a crazy, crazy way. But yeah, yeah, it's kind of lonely.
yeah,
Go
well,
through.
it is, and it's hard to explain to people who don't do it.
Right,
You know?
right,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think we'll probably cover that in our next talk about
In
okay,
part
sounds
two.
distribution.
good.
So
Part two
yeah,
for
yeah.
part two. Yes,
Yes, absolutely. Just Patrick, thank you so much, man, and can't wait to have
for
you
having
back
me.
on. And you know what? Not the best of luck. Go break 14 legs and kill a bunch of
Exactly,
people
man.
That's
and
that's
come
a
back
lot of
and tell us
that's a
how it
lot of
went.
the crew that have no legs now. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Eric.
Patrick, thank you so much for coming on. Links to all of Patrick's social media will be in the description if you're listening in over on Anchor. And when the episode goes up, we will make sure to tag him. Patrick, thank you so much for coming on. And like we say each and every week, folks, remember, support You Life Village.